Hello, welcome to Mystic Moons. How are you tonight, this morning, all times? There seems to be in the United States a fear of some new system overtaking the already benevolent, egalitarian, individualistic, free market, whatever you want to call it, United States. Some kind of system is supposedly taking over. Now, we've heard our president and a number of other people say the fear of communism. Well, first of all, again, communism, that's such a big word, right? It is communism. Capitalism is a big word too. Now, with big words, go for like big people, right? Most people are just trying to pay their mortgage, buy some food, put a smile on their face, and get on with it. People enjoy pushing people around as though they were, playing. And whenever you have these isms, you have some kind of philosophy going. So let's ask the heavens when you have philosophy, because philosophy is more than just data, more than just rewriting history. Of course, history is the winner's diary, the diary of the winner. That's what history is all about. And so far, they haven't called it herstory because they just haven't. But anyway, getting back to communism, just because a 34-year-old person who doesn't have too much political experience, which let's think of what political experience would be. Being able to have good manners, good table manners, being able to get large sum out of wealthy people, well, that's kind of like political. And then if you disperse your cabinet enough, transportation, social services, blah, blah, different areas, media, you can get a gang of busybodies or people that just like to manage other people to make some sort of collective choo-choo train. But often you wonder, where does the caboose stop, and where does the engine stop? Right? After a while, around and around the same circles. And okay, here we have here in the United States the fear of communism. Communism. Now, communism, gender socialism means that the state, the Leviathan, owns everything. It means the production. And what do we have right now? We have a few trillionaires that are pulling the strings with their, yes, men and women around them, right? And their dictates. So there isn't much difference from the top to the bottom where the 80-20 is concerned, correct? And then the fear of the state owning some trillionaires' assets or taxing them more. Now, how many poor people are worried about, or low income, middle class people are worried about communism taking over their assets, their property, perhaps, properties. Now, there's property in the United States. Before the state would take it over, they'd have to clean it up, like clean up the land from the chemtrails, clean up the water from the chemtrails and the over-manufacturing businesses that have for years and decades and whatever, time, that strange algorithm called time, they have been freely polluting everybody's water, everybody's land. And even in some places, you'll be put in jail and fined if you collect your own rainwater on your own property. Now, these are all the capitalistic things. Even to heat your abode, your house, your home, your apartment, your condo. I mean, all these fees and it's not making everybody rich that you pay exorbitant fees for internet, exorbitant fees for heat. And then if you can't make it and you fall behind the cracks, you get a cockroach cardboard box, perhaps, if you're lucky. I mean, it doesn't really. These people that are governing the United States and other countries and so-called democracies, they have so much money. They're out of touch with the masses, the people that they govern, or stuff like that. Or they claim they represent. They don't even claim to represent. They push the. They push. So is this push? But frankly, I think that our United States is in trouble, deep trouble. Thousands and thousands and thousands, into the millions of people are being laid off. Businesses, thousands and thousands are collapsed and are collapsing. Our money is becoming just the word of fiat. Don't call it dollars anymore, call it fiat. So we're kind of like at a low tech, not even a tech, a low stage of advancement. And we are creating a watcher society. Pray, Prey, and Hunter society. So let's find out in this current environment, we have to have a change. But is it going to be a fear of communism that these capitalists, these very wealthy trillionaires and billionaires, are meowing about? To use Curtis Silva, whatever his last name is, the cat man who recently ran for mayor of New York and, of course, lost. I mean, we all like pets, but think about it, people. We have thought about it. But right now, saying that Mandani and his Muslim ways, now, most people, regardless of your religion, are really, not a lot of people, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but a lot of people, it's not on the burner. It's not on the front burner. And if you think that Muslims are so interested in being one way and Catholics or Christians aren't, and Jewish people and Hindus, I mean, it gets so complicated. It's not even there. So let's see. I mean, we're not, it's like Gaza. Gaza, they say, Hamas and Muslims and blah, blah, blah. I mean, Gaza is like 30% Muslim, 30% Christian, and 30% people that don't give two beans. They don't. It's not their thing. They just are not into it. But of course, we're supposed to have divisions. So many of these cards were speaking to me. Let's see which ones. This isn't irrational. I'm going to take this one. And let's see which other one. Is it rational to feel? Is it rational to feel that communism? I mean, it's totally preposterous when you have all these problems. People can't afford to get to work in New York City. They can't afford the $5 fees, the transportation. How much do you need to go to someplace 5 days a week? $50 unspent or more? And then it's not safe. How many people? Let's see. There's no job that's safe. Either getting there or staying there. And the first card we pull is the moon. An intuitive. To actually like dig deep into the recesses of your thinking and think. Not what if maybes, but the essence of the situation. Nobody knows which way New York City is going to go. I mean, other than its downward skids, because people have become too greedy. Capitalism does feed greed. And so many people, they go, okay, so I may not, but at least I have this and I have more than you. Now that's basically it. And capitalists, let's remember one thing. You take like a rich, let's say, okay, the food stamp program, that's one thing right now. We're not talking about the housing, we're not talking about the job loss or the empty commercial realty in New York City. We're talking about let's say food stamps. Food stamps cost what, $8 billion a month, right? $8 billion a month. Now, if a few people that are trillionaires, and they exist, they're here, even billionaires, you have $14 billion. $14 billion. Well, how much are they spending on arms sales to Ukraine, to the Gaza, to Sudan, to wherever? How much? How much? How much are these planes and things costing? So we have the moon. We got to think about what kind of people are we? Are we going to be worried about? Oops, something just fell. No problem. Are we going to be worried about names? Democrat, Republican, communist, capitalistic? No, we're not going to. I mean, it's the trivia of language. And the next one we get is the partnership. The people and the leaders. The people and the leaders about the basics. Food. Walls over your head. Taxes, mortgage, the basics, the basics. If you can't feed the people, how can you have an army of people? And I'm using a military term because we are going into martial law in different places under different reasons. How can you have something that's going to be workable? You can't. You have to think about that. You can't have people just going, oh, I have no hope. And what can someone do? Well, how long do you have to wait to have your so-called American dream? There has to be a dream in every country. Just look at the fog that like feels in the space. The lighting. It's almost a dream. It's almost a dream. And then we have the wait and see, a timing card. A wait and see. So right away we have a realization that we need to work together. Two of Pentacles. And we have all this misplaced energy and we have to concentrate. What is our basics? We're down to the basics: food, shelter, and something to do. Work, right? Okay, work. Maybe that's why they're so afraid of communism. They call it news instead of propaganda. They call many different, even though they do call czars. I mean, wasn't a czar a Russian term? Or homeland. We do interchange what is necessary and what a media with a propaganda feels that the masses should exclaim, should use. So we have a wait card. So are we? So they're going to go tread lightly, maybe. And then we have this 9 of Cups. Waiting and seeing how this another showtime. Now, this last card that we're seeing here is well, it seems that whatever group relies on friendship and aid and working together. And in other words, I don't really feel that the United States has any particular among the masses, the 80%, any particular word for what is going on. They simply want to live their lives in peace without the fear mongering, without the overpriced goods. Overpriced, which you could include food in it too. So I think they like comment. I think Mandani and his difference. And mind you, coming from Uganda is a plus. Didn't the UN, they've already fractioned off a lot of their divisions to a certain African country? Isn't Africa the continent of the new world? Isn't it? Look at the commercials on television, the skin tones. They're not saying broke Europe is the place to be. digital ID, um, barking from like some kind of obsolete NATO type echoes. No, things, there's a shift going on. There is a shift. And old people who are, or people, old people that, they have hardening of the, I mean, old people, old in your minds, and you could be in your body too. I mean, a lot of people before it used to take like a few $1,000s and you had a house, home, everything, and you had job stability. Today, you're lucky to get 2 weeks of condo fees or rental fees or mortgage fees with the same amount of money. What, $60,000 for a new car? This car used to be like a couple $1,000s. So you can tell the value our country, United States, has been slipping for a long time. You can almost say anything would be a welcome, anything. But we're going to have some aid coming from the people are going to work together. Does it take communal living, communal, non-judgmental, or at least the philosophy of non-judgmental? Like you don't have anything, so you should bow down to me. That's the nature of the serf and the aristocracy. Serf only tilted the land, the rental land of someone who was rich. And what have we in this country have been doing with our fees to this, fees to that, our fees to, if you trace the cookie crumbs, it leads to very wealthy families. And if you don't pay those fees on time, you get booted out into the wilderness, urban wilderness, rural wilderness. It doesn't matter. You just get booted out. And you're called a whole lot of names in the process. And the chuckle goes on. So I would say that this whole empty words about communism is just that, empty words about people who are fearful that they're going to lose their coins. They're going to lose their slaves. And maybe we could operate in a way that be beneficial to all, a collective. That's one thing they had years ago. They had communes. Communes. They helped each other. People helped each other. You needed a meal, you had a meal. You needed a place to stay, you had a place to stay. Now it's like nothing. There's no safety net. There's no safety net. So maybe this Seven of Swords is a safety net. Who is going to come and who will help? Will we help each other like it's supposed to be? We're not going to say, I'll do this for you, but how much are you going to pay me? Is that capitalism that we can afford at this time? I'll do it. For what fee? This is something that a great many people, those are the millions that are being laid off, the millions that have lost their jobs, and this automation, software, workforce, religion that's being imposed upon us, which we all know is boring. Boring. Hello? We do know that where we're going is a very cold place. So if someone wants to show us some warmth, some affection, we're not going to say, ooh, ooh. No, we're not. We will not. Make America beautiful. Make America successful. Make the United States compassionate. Make the United States remember many, many things. Do not forget. Make the United States a decent country. A decent country. Make the cities safe. Make the city people safe. Not just by killing them off or putting them in FEMA camps. Nah. Not by calling people useless, trash, because they don't think like you think. We do need a lot of aid, rehabilitation of our thought processes. Right? So let's do that. Let's make this not an ideology label. Let's make this something that people want to gives you years to want to live and blossom together. So I don't feel that the biting words of communism has any place right now. People want to help, they want to do things. Then let's begin. Let's begin. Let's just not tax each other, name call each other, sneer each other. Those days are over. We've had enough crooked, corrupt leaderships. Perhaps, and I say perhaps, because we all know how New York City is greased, oiled. Perhaps we can have a change. Again, if we all think about the basics of where we're going and how we should get there. Well, I'll leave you on that note, but don't fall for that fear of like communism. If somebody's not a millionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire, they're a communist. Is that so? Well, there's lots of wealthy socialists and communists. We all know that. The 80-20, 80-20 is there. Remember that? 20% of the people own 80% are left to fight over the 20% of resources, etc., left over. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's go beyond, because right now we're in a more important exploration, and that is interstellar. Interstellar. That is the universe. The consciousness of intelligence is here, it's always been here, but now we're not hiding and running like the supposed ostrich with their head in the sand. No, get ready, people. Don't fall for like division. People that want to think they're like, in a separate Dixie cup, let them. But you and I have no time, energy, or response other than tis, tis. Closed minds, closed spirits, no energy. Empty, empty. We're not going there. All right, till the next time, I'm going to leave this. Goodbye. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the likes. And tune in again. Bye bye.